So yeah, the Monaco Grand Prix just finished. Cool, because it was 78 laps of absolutely nothing, and I don't know how and why it's still included in the holy trinity of motorsport. And it's safe to say that the most iconic useless weekend on the calendar is finally over. The race where overtaking is banned, strategy is fictional, and your only real opponent is your own will to stay away. They even tried to spice things up this year by introducing mandatory 2 stops. But let's be real, it was like putting hot sauce on cardboard. Still cardboard, just slightly more exciting to chew on. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'll be stretching this video harder than Ferrari's will to compete, because nothing actually happened this weekend. Like at all. I've seen more action in a Williams pit stop. The most exciting moments were Charles Leclerc crashing into the back of Lance Stroll in free practice, the FIA going illegal mode with the penalties, and me trying not to fall asleep while pretending to care about tire degradation. Oh, and for those of you who skipped the race and are watching this to catch up, congrats! You saved yourself 2 hours and a nap. The only thing you missed was the Monaco tradition of drivers playing real-life slot cars with zero chance of overtaking unless someone forgets how to use brakes. So grab your snacks, sit back, and get ready, because this is your Monaco GP post-race debrief. Alright, let's talk about free practice, because honestly, that's where most of the actual action happened this weekend. Quali was tame, and the race, well, we'll get to that napfest later, but practice? Monaco did what Monaco always does. FP1 to FP3 was just pure messy, starting with FP1. Charles Leclerc collided with Lance Stroll at the Mirabeau corner. Stroll was trying to move out of the way for Kimi Antonelli after seeing blue flags, kinda late, but in doing so he rejoined right in Charles's path. Boom, collision. As a bonus, Stroll got hit with a 1-place grid penalty, which at Monaco is just comedic. Just like, yeah, that'll teach him. Drop him 1 whole position at a track where overtaking is harder than solving Ferrari's tire strategy. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly nearly sent his car into orbit, catching a huge moment that he just barely saved. Max almost rear-ended a Sauber. Just Monaco things. And Hamilton? He was testing Monaco's suspension limits by violently bouncing over the curbs. Then, Isaac Hadjar went full send into the chicane after the tunnel, hit the barrier and took off part of his wheel, red flag number 1. Later on, Oscar Piastri decided to go bowling with his McLaren into turn 1, but Hadjar wasn't done. Later in the session, he clipped the wall again at turn 1 while on a cooldown lap. Just casually snapped the rear suspension. But wait, drama off track too. Ollie Behrman got slapped with a 10-place grid penalty. Then there was Franco Colapinto, who also overtook under red flag conditions, but got no penalty at all. So either Franco's car was invisible, or the FIA just spun a wheel of justice and said, nah, he's fine. FP3 didn't slow down either. Hadjar again almost collected Yuki Tsunoda on the exit of the tunnel, almost like he was reliving his F2 highlight reel. And the big moment? Lewis Hamilton straight up into the wall at Casino Square. Massive hit. So yeah, the race was boring, but practice was absolute chaos. Next up, let's talk about quali. Spoiler alert, Charles Leclerc finally did it. Yeah, for real this time. Qualifying here is basically the Monaco GP final boss battle. And this year was a strange mix of comedy, strategy errors, and some occasional actual driving talent. Mostly comedy though. We kicked things off with Q1. We had our first red flag of qualifying, brought to you by rookie Kimi Antonelli. He did it at chicane after the tunnel exit, the classic welcome to F1 kiss of the barrier. To be fair, it wasn't the biggest shunt in the world, and despite the crash, Kimi still managed to squeak into Q2 and would eventually start P15. All things considered, not a disaster, just mildly expensive. Meanwhile, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, Williams, and even Aston Martin managed to get both cars through cleanly. Yes, even Lance Stroll avoided a Monaco wall. Q2 brought the sad piano music for a couple more names. Most notably, George Russell's car decided it had seen enough of Monaco and promptly gave up in the tunnel. Engine failure mid-lap, just vibing in the dark. It wasn't quite as dramatic as Rosberg's "oops, I locked up an accidentally secured pole" moment, but it ended the session with George done and dusted. He'll start P14, but then came Q3, the moment of actual relevance. For once, someone other than Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc showed up to the Monaco pole position party. Lando Norris took pole in Monaco on merit. Yes, this is real life. He just straight up delivered. I was a bit surprised as well. Well, anyway, that's his 11th career pole, but his first ever in Monaco. And that puts him in a very elite club. Right behind him, Charles Leclerc, 1/10 off, so close yet still second. Oscar Piastri slotted into P3 because the McLaren upgrades are apparently made of pure witchcraft. Whatever they bolted onto that car in Imola, it's working. They've gone from midfield anonymity to front row spoilers in just a few weekends. Lewis Hamilton qualified P4, but of course, this is Monaco, so nothing is straightforward. The stewards found him guilty of impeding Max Verstappen, which even Max confirmed wasn't Lewis's fault. Instead, it was his race engineers, but still handed him a 3-place grid penalty, pushing him down to P7. Max Verstappen, P4, after Lewis dropped down. Solid, but not spectacular. Red Bull looked fine. Not awful, but not dominant either. They've gone from winning by a country mile to just sort of existing around the top 5. Monaco hasn't been kind to them this year, but given how tight that RB21 looked through the chicane, Max was probably just happy the car made it to Q3 without falling apart. Next up, the race itself. Spoiler alert, if you took a bathroom break of total 78 laps, you didn't miss much. Let's dive into the Monaco Grand Prix race recap. The race started with a bit of spice that quickly turned into absolutely nothing. Lando locked up into turn 1 on the first lap, which briefly made us think, oh wow, something might actually happen here. But nope, he caught it, recovered, and everyone settled into the usual Monaco conga line. By lap 9, we did get a little chaos courtesy of Pierre Gasly forgetting where Yuki Tsunoda's car was. He rear-ended Yuki in what looked more like a late-breaking F124 online lobby moment than a calculated move. Yuki somehow continued with minimal damage, while Gasly's car just gave up and rolled itself out of the session. The rest of the race? Yeah, not much to report, unless you're into tire wear graphs and drivers asking their engineers if they're allowed to push. Red Bull decided to play 4D chess with Max Verstappen, keeping him out for basically the entire race on one set of tires. Their grand strategy was clearly based on the hope that someone would bin it and bring out a red flag. Spoiler, nobody did. For once, the Monaco walls were apparently coated in Teflon. So, with no red flag to save them, Max finally pitted on the final lap. It was like watching someone realize they've held in a sneeze too long and it's just awkward now. He dropped from the podium to P4, which feels like a win for everyone else on the grid who's tired of seeing that man on every post-race selfie. Up front, Lando Norris finally got what he's been teasing us with for years. Charles Leclerc, aka Mr. Monaco Curse, actually made it to the end and even stood on the podium. It wasn't a win, but he didn't crash or DNF in his home race, so we're counting that as emotional progress. Oscar Piastri rounded out the top 3, quietly putting in a mega drive with no drama, no mistakes, and all the pace. He's really starting to look like the guy who's going to give Lando some headaches by the end of the year. Hamilton deserves a small golf clap for jumping from P7 to P5, mostly because others tripped over their own strategies. He kept it clean and didn't give the stewards another reason to slap him with grid penalties, so we'll take that as a solid weekend for him. And that's a wrap on Monaco, the most scenic snooze fest of the season. But don't worry, real racing is back next weekend at the Spanish Grand Prix, where actual overtaking exists and the upgrade starts showing real pace. So get ready for battles, strategy, and maybe even Ferrari doing something right. No promises. Hit that sub and I'll see you in Barcelona.